Okay. So hello guys, my name is Ashwini. So today's webinar is about capital markets. So I think, when it comes to investing in stock markets, it's a little gamble. There's a lot of risk involved. There's a lot of information that you need to know before investing and so much more to it. So on that note, actually, Ziva Trust was started keeping this in mind, understanding the risks, understanding what actually goes behind the scenes before investing. So just a second, let me admit the other people who are joining. Okay. So having said all of this, so what do we do? I just want to give you a glimpse of what Ziva Trust is all about. Well, for those who don't know, so we are a private wealth management company based out of Bangalore, and what we wanted to do in investment space was a little different. So we just wanted to make investing a little more accessible. Okay, so whatever the strategies, whatever the products that were available, we just wanted to make sure that it is easier for us to kind of. Okay, I am sorry, I just have to admit a lot of people here. Okay, great. So that's one of the major thing that we wanted to focus right now. And second thing that we wanted to focus was on transparency. You know, you as an investor should be very, you should have an idea of where your money is going, right? So as this is your hard-earned money, so you should know where it is going. So we wanted to make investments very transparent and more towards centralization. So all your financial needs will be under one single platform. So that is one of the things that we're definitely working towards, and something that we will be working in the future as well. So having said all of this, so it's a great start here for us. We started this whole new webinar series where we want to discuss some important and some I would say definitely a very important discussion today. How has the capital markets changed during COVID, post COVID, and now that the second wave of COVID is hitting, right? So, what are the different changes that is something that we should all be aware of, and something you as an investor should be aware of also. So, I think we can get this rolling. Okay. So in case you have any sort of a questions and all of this, we'll dedicate the last 20 minutes for your suggestions, for your questions, for something on your end, and a lot more different things also. So the first 40 minutes will be taken up by two of our panelists today, Andal, who's the Vice President, Private Wealth of Ziva Stars, and second we have Aftab. So he is the Chief Operating Officer for Ziva Stars. So welcome both of you for this wonderful discussion.
Hey, hi Ashwini, morning.
Good morning.
Hi Ashwini, really nice to be here.
Great, great. So I'm sure, just like me, I have a lot of questions to ask you guys. I'm sure a lot of other people also do have a lot of questions to ask as well. So we'll just allocate the last 20 minutes, just like I said in the end. And of course, this section will be recorded, and we will be uploading it on our official YouTube channel, and of course all our social media channels, just in case you have missed it or you want to go through it again. So it's definitely right there. And for people who are attending this webinar, we also have some special research reports coming out exclusively only for you guys. So, so I'll make sure that it reaches out to you as soon as possible. Okay, so let's get this rolling. Andal, just give us a brief about your background, your contribution to Ziva Stars, and a little bit about you.
Right, happy to. So I've been with Ziva for a little close to or over 6 months now, right? So I largely manage the private wealth division and everything that goes on basically on the product side and policy frameworks. So that's my role over here.
Brilliant, brilliant. So, Mr. Aftab, please give us a little bit background about yourself.
Yeah, see, in financial market, I'm there since 2003, so somewhere around 18 plus years of experience in the financial market. And currently with Ziva Stars, it's like a family. We are working for creating wealth and managing the wealth for the private like clients, the private client group. So this is a opportunity for like present ourselves to you guys. So I think we can just start.
Brilliant. Okay, so I have few set of questions from my end, something that I've seen, a lot of discussions happening around social media. So I just wanted to ask that questions with you guys. And yeah, the others feel free to pitch in with your suggestions as well. So let's make this an interesting discussion forum over than the traditional webinar format, which is quite, quite old here. Okay, so my first question for today is, see, actually, when COVID hit, a lot of different industries got hit. There were a lot of downsides as well as some, say for example, healthcare. So that kind of grew. So what changes has COVID brought to capital markets?
See, the first thing is, it's not only India; it's entire world has been hit by this virus. Okay, and when you talk about capital inflows or outflows, there was a lot of outflows which has happened in this unprecedented, the market has faced. Okay, where the foreign investors have taken out the money. So, see, normally, if you check out in 2008, the financial crisis, that was completely a different thing. But here, what are the emerging markets and the developing economies have faced both the similar hit from this particular virus. So, basically, this just to give a brief about how it has happened, and also, everyone has experienced that the China in 2020 January this started, but slowly money started flowing out. The lockdown happened, sudden lockdown, like economy has stopped. So that made a lot of the trade activity was plummeted. Commodity prices typically it was like completely on a higher side. So there are so many other things also which are down the line we can talk about it, how it is affected and how we have come out and what exactly is happening now over a period of time. Like once the session starts, so like we can answer those questions as well.
Brilliant. So Andal, what's your take on this?
So you see, banks and capital market institutions, right? We have no choice but to remain vigilant, and write out a pandemic playbook as the circumstances of COVID-19 evolve, right? So to that extent, there have been many aggressive fiscal and monetary policies that have responded to the issue. But we need clarity on how this will stabilize markets and how we can actually step on the path to normalcy. And I'm sure we'll touch upon that later, right? Now, the impact has honestly been multifold. It starts with the impact of, let's say, having a remote workforce. So it's evident that, most firms will turn into an e-commerce style of providing services on platforms. So speaking of capital markets in specific, right, they're facing unprecedented volatility, which is contributed by, let's say, a fear of economic recession and uncertainty. So markets like Korea, Thailand, Indonesia, India, and the US have hit the lower circuit on multiple occasions, despite the government announcing stimulus packages. Right. So an interesting outcome was actually that the daily average number of trades and quantity of shares traded in the equity cash market segment during this whole countrywide lockdown has gone up significantly. Now, it's important to know and remember that stock markets are ultimately the barometers of the economy, and they reflect the mood and perception of the stakeholders in an economy. So it's necessary to keep the market working regardless.
Absolutely. Having said all of this, has there been any sort of a positive income, at least during these last few months?
So let's look at the bigger picture, right? Now, countries' financing needs are rising for both short and medium term. First, we need to tackle a health emergency, and second, we need to work towards sustainable recovery, not just recovery, right? So even before the crisis, capital markets were quite critical for strengthening outcomes for countries and their people, right? Since the crisis began, people have taken interest in investing in ESGs, right? Now, many investors today are taking a holistic approach, connecting their investments to impact SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. This outbreak will motivate more governments, companies, international bodies to lean towards the concept of social financing, right? So BBVA estimates that global issuances of green and social bonds will reach 320 billion in 2020. I read about this recently. yesterday. And the pandemic will further accelerate the growth of actually investing with more of a social angle. Right now, over the last year, the Council of Europe, European Development Bank preserved over 40,000 jobs because of a social bond that it launched back in April 2019. Now, these are examples to reflect the lines along which I'm thinking, right? Now, if
Okay.
private investors buy in, the same could happen with the current tranche of the coronavirus bonds, giving capital markets the impetus that it actually deserves now to recover from this.
Absolutely. So, Aftab sir, what is your take on this? What is your take on this?
You're talking about approach?
No, as in like for the last few months at least. So, have you noticed any sort of a positive outcomes that has happened after the COVID has hit?
See, the government has trying a lot to do on this particular stuff. Like they are coming out, as Andal said, there are a lot of stress packages which are coming on. There are new reforms which are coming on. They are trying to settle down. So, as an India, see, the growth story still stays alive. Okay, where we are talking about the consumption story. We talk about how we are going to grow for the next level, like $5 trillion country. So, see, it will not happen over like overnight. Okay, you require to need give some time to that, so that it will see this pandemic has hit everyone, not only India. So obviously that makes a lot of sense. We have to understand how the developed countries are doing, how they are planning, how they are coming out with this particular stuff. Now there is a regime change in US. Earlier there was some other new president has come, so obviously he has some new reforms to do. So there are a lot of things we need to check out, what kind of reforms will be coming out and what kind of inflows we can see in the market. So currently you can see the markets are on the all-time high. So
Yeah,
there are things which we need to look at.
absolutely. Whatever having defined whatever the impact it's done, we've seen some positive outcomes also, because of the COVID. So, how will the Indian economy, would normalize moving forward?
Um, to be honest, the hard work, it begins now. As and when the relief measures they start tapering, we will find out to what extent we've actually survived an economic damage, right? So normalization will probably take longer in Southeast Asia. I'm talking about India, Japan, Australia. Now, the pandemic is not over, but the worst of the economic impact is probably past. And probably, right now, people are moving around and spending more. The world is getting used to a life with COVID-19 in it. Right now, S&P expects India to contract its GDP by 9% in 2021 and subsequently grow 10%. One would think that as a country opens up from a lockdown phase more and more, and as businesses open up more and more, normalization will be sooner. There was an uptick in, let's say, economic activity until September, but after September 2020, economic activity again began to decelerate. So what is the kind of recovery we predict in India? Not sure, right? If there is no second wave of COVID-19, we could probably expect quicker normalization from the negative growth prior COVID even, but probably some positive figure by the second half of the next fiscal year.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So, Aftab sir, how do you think the Indian economy would kind of normalize moving forward?
See, as a consumption story still alive, stays alive. So obviously there is no looking back. There is a growth story which is there in India. We can bet on India. The best emerging market where we can bet is India, because the kind of returns we are giving, the kind of the investment inflow we are seeing, so it's immense.
Right.
Now, when you talk about second wave, obviously that's a threatening thing. We are seeing in the globe, we are seeing again the second wave is hitting the UK and all. So obviously that is a threat which we have to look at. And if that hits again, so obviously there is a huge population which is moving around. Obviously there are some parameters which have been set by the government, but if the second wave comes, I think there is something which we can look at on the downside.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, you guys did mention a lot of the second wave of COVID. So, as an investor, how should anyone be prepared? Because there's a lot of talks that yes, from Jan probably there's going to be a second wave of COVID that's going to hit. And as an investor, what should I be prepared before I'm actually investing in Indian markets?
So over the last many months, right, there was a steady fall number of COVID cases and subsequently a resurgence in the economy. But with Europe's second wave, are we prepared? Now, the sentiment across many investors is still caution, right? So the impact of a second wave is tied with, let's say, another set of imposed lockdowns that could impact economic recovery. For an investor, investing in a company that is already listed has an advantage over investing in a new listing, right? Because there's
Absolutely.
historical data to support business performance and the management's performance. The
Right.
one looming concern is that the stock market is trading at extremely high historic valuations. And again, like with the onset of the second wave, it's important to note that the declines are not over.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, Aftab sir?
Yeah, here I would differ a bit. Okay, when you talk about market is huge. Okay, there are huge number of companies which are listed. There are huge numbers of companies which are like coming up, right? But when you talk about a company centric, see there is an opportunity whenever it's not like every sector will be growing or every sector will be going down. When you talk about this pandemic, if you the second wave hits also, so I think we as a advisors, we as a financial advisors, we can help them out to understand which company will be benefited. See,
Right.
if you check out in a post like the COVID from Jan, you can see there is a huge growth in pharma and healthcare centers. So
Right.
obviously you can find out those companies and you can invest in them. So see, we need to educate the client about where he has to invest. See, currently what I see as a investment, I think there is only one asset class which is left out is equities, where we can make multiple like uh, double digit or triple digit numbers, like return I'm talking about. So when you talk about going into that particular stuff, you need to understand what I'm going to get in FDs, right? Because the rates have been slashed like anything, and it's a
Right.
benefit also, which we'll talk later. So currently, what I suggest is if you are aware about the market, if you know how to analyze the things, go on and bet on good companies. You will make money because the India growth story is still alive. If you can't, I think you should reach out to us. We'll help the investor to invest in the right stock.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. So yeah, as you rightly mentioned, so definitely in terms of pharma and healthcare, we've seen a lot of improvements. Before COVID and after COVID. So how's the profitability of both of these industries on the onset of COVID?
I lost you 30 seconds, I think.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so as you rightly mentioned about pharma and healthcare industry improving, on the onset of COVID. So how's the profitability changed in these two industries?
See, if you check out in any case, like if it's a problem or if it's a COVID, whatever it is, obviously there is an opportunity side also. So we
Right.
have to find out those opportunities. When you talk about analyzing a company, you have to view into a professional. It's just simply I can't become a surgeon by seeing YouTube channels, right? So obviously
Right.
we need to just be a professional where there will be a person who will be handling those funds in a very careful manner. He understands the risk, he understands the reward. So once he understands the risk parameter or reward parameter, then he will be going to invest. And every day he has to monitor. See, it's monitoring. If your investments are not growing, you have to change it. And what should be changed, what should not be, obviously it depends on the professional who will be managing that particular fund,
True.
right?
True. So, Andal, what's your take on this?
I think I do have a different perspective altogether. There's one way to actually go about analyzing sectors, right? Maybe in terms of figures. Now, with the onset of something like the pandemic, the healthcare sector is pretty much at the epicenter, right, of the global pandemic, and this really did cost huge. So the impact on cash flows has been severe. The prevalence of chronic diseases in the Indian market, coupled with government initiatives, they've propelled investments into this health sector, right, from pharma players.
True.
So it has to some extent pushed the development of this market in India. But what we must remember that hospitals are both private and government owned, with the former being largely unregulated and being unable to, let's say, cap prices. It lacks a lot of transparency. Okay, during something as threatening as COVID even. So there's another side to this entire story where, if you think about it, there have been lower footfalls, right, due to domestic and international travel restrictions,
True.
which in turn affected the performance of the industry as a whole. So while COVID treatments and testing are an essential part of the business for the healthcare industry at present, getting back to non-COVID business is also another key focus. So that's just something I wanted to call out.
Okay. So now that we have discussed about pharma and healthcare, real estate has seen a major drop, in the last few months actually, and it is expected to go down even further as well. So now that as we discussed, the second wave of COVID is going to hit. So definitely the real estate is expected to go down even further. So as an investor, investing in this real estate. Industry, how do you think we should be prepared?
Before we step into talking about the real estate industry as well, right? I will just talk about industries as a whole, like
Okay.
the back of my head, right? If we're naming industries, we can talk about, let's say, the airlines industry, or let's say
Okay.
the casino and gaming industry, the leisure facilities, auto parts and equipment, oil and gas drilling. Now, all of which significantly contributed to the economy, but now died down for a few months because of a nationwide lockdown.
Right.
So yeah, the real estate has also disrupted significantly, which was on a growth trajectory actually for the last few years. So talking about real estate, I will probably talk about this briefly. Now, both residential and commercial real estate sectors are hit in terms of launch, sale, and purchase. Lack of materials and lack of labor has made the process quite slow. It made it quite unpredictable. Now, the recovery, honestly, it seems far away, right? Now, there's a classic chicken and egg problem that has erupted earlier on with the labor and material issue. Laborers do not have work since construction material was not available. And if there was availability of materials, builders stalled the work, right? So, how do you actually go about a problem like this? The situation is bouncing back up, right? Supply is kicking in, so is the manpower. Even though real estate sales are highly dependent on, let's say, physical site inspections, more customers today are interested in virtual site visits and they're
Absolutely.
opting for online payments, right? It's a good time to actually adapt with technology, and the players in the real estate industry are learning that, and it's important that we embrace that.
Absolutely. Aftab sir?
Yeah, see, I think real estate has a big hit because obviously the demand has been gone down like anything. Now, see, in recent years, I think the government has taken some good steps. Okay, where we talk about structural change. Okay, where the reforms have been come, like RERA has come, and the GST has come, the IBC has come. So this will help the good players to become even stronger. I think the smaller player will die, and if anyone wants to invest in that particular sector, I think they should go with the good players in the market, right? So other than that, see, you can just check out okay, how the interest rates have been cut down, like in this particular stuff also from 8% to 1% it has been reduced. It has been showing that okay, this I'm talking about affordable housing where the cost has been reduced by 1%, in the sense from 8% it has been reduced to 1%. And there are so many other things also, like the government is coming, like the Pradhan Mantri Yojana is there. So obviously that will help the affordable housing, and that might boost the complete real estate sector.
Okay. Okay. So now that we're discussing, we have discussed about pharma, healthcare, and we have seen a little bit of real estate, and also, can you give us, a holistic idea about the other different industries, who are actually, who actually seeing a drastic change in these particular times?
Yeah, see, when you talk about other sectors, see, one sector which will relate to all the sectors is the technology. Okay, you talk about
Absolutely.
real estate, the technology used. Okay, because I think I just like I was just talking to my colleague, he was talking about something on like you can visit the website on visual, in the sense it will be completely, you are not going there, but you can see it, like you can feel it, you are there. So this is the technology which is going to come. So we can bet on the new technology companies which are there, who are coming, who are innovative in terms of coming out with something innovative ideas and all. And obviously there is something which is the next level of the technology would be 5G. So 5G, if it is coming, then obviously there will be a lot of changes in the human like whatever the human being like living, it will be completely changed. So
Right.
no need to do all the stuffs on your own. The machine can do itself.
Yeah.
So I think there are we are seeing that, like Tesla has come out with driverless cars, Uber has started with driverless cars. So there are so many things which are happening around the world, and obviously it will be hitting India as well. So I think technology sector would play an important role.
Absolutely. So, Andal, can you give your insights about different industries that has had its impact and something that we should be aware of?
Definitely. I mean, I did touch upon the industries very briefly before
Yes.
talking about real estate, right? So yeah, we can talk about airlines, probably talk about gaming industry, leisure facilities. These are certain industries that have seen a major dip in this time, right? But
Yes.
the expectation is, let's say, whenever the new normal is going to be, and we don't know when, right? There's a possibility that these industries will just surge. So
Yeah, true, true. So we spoke a lot about the industries that has fallen during these times, but there were also major gainers in this period as well. So, what is your take on the top gainers who has actually been resilient even though the big hit of COVID happened and they still stood strong? So, give us your insights about them.
About the stocks in specific, right? Now, in the interest of actually not taking too many names, right, I'm just going to probably touch upon a few names, right? So
Okay.
let's just cover a few industries and names in that regard. So we'll talk about Glaxo, right, in the
Okay.
pharma sector. We can talk about Rallis in
Yes.
the agrochemical sector, Apollo Hospitals, HDFC Life Insurance, Kotak Mahindra, NIIT Technologies. Right now, the other thing is that you notice how erratic these stocks are. They belong to different industries, but I
Yeah.
think ultimately but the idea is that there's no telling as to, let's say, which industry is going to surge and which is not. A lot of it has to do with, let's say, a lot of sentiment that belongs to the crowd of investors. So it's quite erratic.
Yes. Aftab, so your take on this?
Yeah, see, normally when you talk about sector-wise growth, I think we have seen a lot of like 83% of growth in footwear, okay, and healthcare has grown by 44%, and I think the chemicals have grown by 40%. So these are the good sectors where you can find out some good companies and you can bet on,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
The worst which have been done is like logistics have been eroded 34%, okay. So media and entertainment have like completely down by 54%. So these are the things which you need to just check out, okay, where you shouldn't put your money and where you can. And obviously, if you require any help, obviously Ziva will be there.
Absolutely. So yeah, COVID has actually thought that even the smart investors, for that matter, can make mistakes, can make wrong investment decisions. So as the investor, so there are some parameters that I have to look at before investing. Right, it could be about sentiment, market sentiment. You can either look about the company information. So, is there any additional points, that an investor will benefit by looking at? What is your take on that, Angal?
I think before we touch upon that, right, let's just quickly, there are certain patterns, right, as to how, let's say, a particular individual, whether or not he's experienced in capital markets, actually invests, right? So we're in a phase where, let's say, consuming advice and investing for the future is really going to change, right? People are starting to look ahead and actually
Yes,
starting to identify opportunities,
right.
which wasn't really common earlier on pre-COVID. Right
Yeah,
now, clients are now seeking more from wealth managers, be it, let's say, transparent fee structures, let's say, give you a true open architecture that allows the right kind of financial products to be allocated to your portfolios. And let's say from our interaction with clients, we've noticed that they've kind of matured in the way that they ask for services. They will mature in the way that they ask for transparency. Now, if there's anything that we learned from 2001, 2008, the 2020 crisis, is that our portfolios need to weather the storms better. Right now, ESG is one change, and we did discuss this earlier on. This will change the way we look to invest at an individual level and even with family offices. Right now, rise in passive investments will be another change through ETFs or smart beta investing. Still new to India, but we're going to hold on to these, right? Rise in alternative investments will be a byproduct. Now, at present, obviously, this is restricted to HNIs and UHNIs because a client should be comfortable with a portion of it allocated to long-term and illiquid opportunities, right? So these are certain patterns, but there are very key factors that we think we notice as a change in sentiment, which will really define how people are going to invest going forward.
So, Aftab, so your take on this?
See, the first thing what investors should understand is, see, what is that money for? Like, first thing you need to understand okay, what the duration is going to invest.
Right.
And see, these are the important questions one should ask for himself. Okay, why I'm going to invest in this? What is my expectation? And based on that, the categories would come into picture. So now, let's assume that there is a guy who's coming in and he wants to plan for retirement and all. So see, there is a different approach for him altogether. And there is a
Right.
person who's coming and is talking about, I want to do something, I'm ready to take risk and all. Then there is some other way how to do that particular, like structurizing that particular product. So see, normally markets are on all-time high. Okay, and I think this is a message for all. Okay, where see every now if you can just check out the TV channels and all there's all are telling you boss you can take out some money now you have to be cautious because it's buy on dips now. So these are the things which are coming now. So obviously there is a concern. The cause of the investor who want to invest in a market.
Brilliant, brilliant. So yeah, definitely. I think the way of how we have actually approached investing has actually changed. The reliant on wealth managers is actually growing even further right now, and it's rightly there because they are the ones who have specialized on this, who are doing it on a daily basis, who are understanding different patterns, what the data has to offer. So yeah, reliant on that is getting huger day by day. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. See, actually,
So yeah.
to add on one second, to add on, see, there are other concerns also which are happening. Like, see, if you can see the farmers' protest is on, there is a still the concern with India China is on. I think there is a smooth move which is happening with US and China. So obviously, that if that move happens, obviously that tariff war will come down. So there are more concerns as well as the opportunities also there. So we need to just wait and watch what the signals or what clarity will come, and then we can take a call on it.
Brilliant, brilliant. So, in terms of, we have discussed a little bit about COVID. Of course, we have discussed a lot about COVID, but a little more onto it. So definitely, COVID has brought in a lot of changes. A lot of changes in terms of the investment patterns and all of these things. So, in the future, how is the pattern going to change, keeping COVID in mind?
Pattern of
Investing. So keeping COVID in mind, so there's going to be a lot of changes in the way people kind of invest, right? So they're now going to think about what is
Ashwin,
the,
yeah,
yeah, they're going to start thinking about the
yeah,
different
got it, got it.
uncertainties in mind. So what will be the investment pattern, landscape going to be like in the future?
See, COVID is there or not, obviously there are many opportunities in the market. Okay,
Right.
day in day out there are opportunities in the market. You need to just figure it out and you need to start investing. See, one thing is very important. If you can't save, obviously you'll not come out with all the stuff what you're doing. So see, we used to learn in third standard or fourth standard. Still, we can hear about that. Okay, in earnings minus investments, earnings minus spending, savings, right? Actually, it is wrong. First, earnings, savings, and then you should spend. So on that, I think if you talk about any strategy, I think you need to talk about how you can save first, and then that. See, you as a person will work for 8 or 10 hours, or maybe, but your money will work for you. So invest and where you should invest in gold, you should invest in equity, you should invest in real estate. But what percentage? What are your goals? What are your plans? What exactly you want to do with that?
I think there was some network issue there. So can you just brief about the last few sentences that you mentioned again, because I think we lost you there.
Okay. So I was talking about the plan, the goal, what exactly your goals are, and how you can structureize. Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Am I audible? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I'm talking about the structure. So for that, what you require professional touch in that, where you can talk about how to invest, where to invest, how to diversify. see, the diversification is also very much important. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. So if anything goes wrong in equities, there should be some backup which will be held up with gold or maybe silver. So obviously, see, there are structures which we need to create based on the requirement of the client. I think we can do it very professionally, right?
Absolutely. So, Andal, what's your take on this?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was on mute. So just like echoing, I think what we spoke about investment patterns earlier, what we've seen, right, as let's say selling a product to a client or selling your service as well to the client, people are a lot more vigilant today. Like they're very sure about what they're asking. They really want to know exactly where their money is going and what the costs associated with it are. They no longer, let's say, want something opaque in front of them, want a completely transparent structure. They want to know exactly where their money is going, no matter what the size of the investment is. So that's a major change in investment pattern. I think that's something that all of us are adopting as well, because we see a major crunch in liquidity across, and it's not something that you want to experience yourself. So you get a little more aware and vigilant when you're asking questions as well to whoever is managing your money.
We touched base upon technology. We spoke a little bit about investments and all of these things. So, is there an interconnection between technology and investments? How different is the future going to be? Because now that technology is putting its place every single, every nook and corner, in every different industry. So, how is technology and investments going to change the future of investing?
In more ways than one, actually. It's something that we as a team have been talking about a lot, right, of recently, right? And apart from the fact that, let's say, technology basically just propels, we're going to talk about one side, which is why I say technology propels decision making as to how exactly we're going to allocate whatever we invest. That's one way, right? Where there are capabilities in technology today to understand just as much as human does, but more in scale, right, with what we feed into the system. So which essentially it's a machine learning. But apart from that, right, just operationally, whatever, let's say, used to be bit of a stretch earlier because we didn't have the support of tech, is now getting easier. This is in terms of, let's say, managing financial or operational risk, even, let's say, managing account opening and things like that. It's kind of going hand in hand. When you use technology for every, let's say, simple tasks of your everyday life, from eating food to actually traveling, right, it becomes it becomes basically holds your hand even at the time of managing risk and actually making more money.
Absolutely. So Aftab sir, you have seen the potential of what technology can bring to investments. So from your experience, what would be your take on this? How is this going to impact the future of investing?
See, I think it's all about technology from tomorrow onwards. That's what we can say, because everything is related to technology. Not only equity market, I'm talking about entire stuff which is related to technology. So when you talk about technology, what we see, the investment patterns would change. Okay, like normally we invest in equity by doing research, we do a lot of things, and then we start doing, right? But currently, if you check out, I think from so many past years, I think US is doing on complete algos. So the system will trade for themselves, right? So that, I think, will be coming to India, and I think it's already there. So see, you should be a part of those people who are already advanced in technology. I think if you are a part of that, obviously you can be on the edge and you can make more return on your investments. So it's all about, see, tomorrow is all about technology. So I think you should stick on the technology.
Absolutely, that's rightly said, because unlike humans, it doesn't have any emotion-based decision making. So it understands the risk, it understands different kinds of patterns, and something that even we might overlook as human beings. Errors are common for us, but it's unlike for the technology to kind of overlook on all these things. So definitely, just like how it's impacted the other industries, it definitely is there to impact the investment and the way of how we are going to invest as well. So having said all of this, my last question for the day would be, you sir, you spoke about a lot about putting all the eggs in one single basket, which is the wrong thing to do. So what would be your ideal take on how you can diversify your investments? What are the different sectors that we should look apart from just equities? What percentage of it can you allocate on the other other aspects of investments also. So what is your take on that?
Right. So I think with the onset of the pandemic, right, one major thing that everyone noticed was that the stock of every other
Anal, I think we
Yeah,
lost
okay,
your
fine,
voice.
sorry.
Okay.
So if someone had invested in one share in just one industry, they would have seen a significant downside to their investment value. So
True.
the more uncorrelated your investments are, the better, right? But then again, we must maintain a balance. Bonds and equity markets generally move in opposite directions. So your portfolio would be diversified across both asset classes. But remember that no matter how diversified your portfolio is, you cannot eliminate risk entirely. There's no way
True.
to do that. But the simple mantra is always, buy more when the prices are low and lower when the prices are high. So
That's a nice thing. So Aftab, so your take on this.
See, when you talk about like investments, right? Obviously, see, it depends on the investor, okay, what kind of goals he has. Based on that, we can calculate. So everyone can't be similar. Okay? If he's coming and we can't give him a similar kind of ratios and all those stuff. So first thing, see, the diversification should be there, but it shouldn't be over diversified. You should
Absolutely.
understand what exactly my goals are, and based on that I have to take a call on how I can invest in the equity market, or maybe in the bond market, or maybe in commodity market, or maybe indirectly in real estate investment as well. So we need to understand the other person, like the investor who's going to invest, what kind of duration he's looking at, what kind of the funds are, like it's a surplus fund or it's a working capital, he wants the fund back, what exactly it is.
Right.
Based on that, then the things will come into picture, how we can tell him, give us how to go ahead in this market, or how to diversify, how to invest in this equity market.
Absolutely. That's really an interesting point. So yeah, I think I've got all my questions answered. So I leave the forum now open to you guys for any questions, suggestions, some points that you wish to add, any sort of a discussion. I think we are open now for it. So guys, you can start up now.
Hi,
Hi,
this is
Vinay.
Vinay here. I have few queries.
Sure, please go ahead.
It is to Aftab sir or Andal. Yeah,
Go
while
ahead.
we
Go ahead.
talk about the stock market investment in the present scenario for capital market overview, presently Nifty's P is at 37.56. Is it the right time to go it with the equity investment, or do we look for any alternative investment opportunities?
One sec. Vinay, I think we lost you here. One sec.
Yeah, I got it. Hello. Yeah.
Yes.
Audible.
Yes, sir.
You just unmute Vinay. Yes, sir. Please go ahead. Vinay, can you please unmute and ask your complete
Yeah,
your question?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I've cleared with my question.
Yeah, I got your point. The question is, is this the right time to invest as the Nifty P is on the higher side, right?
Yes, exactly.
See, as a whole, as a market, obviously it's on the higher side. Okay, so if you check out as a stock specific, I think there are more opportunities which is left out. I don't tell currently you should dump everything into that, but yes, you can start investing by identifying those companies, and then you can invest in that. Currently, the market is on the all-time high. Obviously, there is a chance of like there's some correction also which might happen. Then you can dump again, you can accumulate the particular stocks. Okay, so you need to identify those stocks, which stock or which sector is going to be benefited with this particular stuff, so then you can invest. I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah. Thanks for the insightful information about the present scenario of taking the decisions.
Yeah.
Any other questions, guys? Okay, so in case you guys have any other questions, we'll take it. Otherwise, I think we're good.
Yeah, I do have one more question
Yes,
in this.
please go ahead.
Like presently in this particular month, SEBI has announced that peak margin effects. So how does it has affected the Indian equity market, and how a market will get revoked of it?
See, I think it's a good question. Okay, people are willing to know about this. Okay, see, currently, yes, it is going to affect the market, the people who are doing the intraday trading and all. Obviously, that margin would go off literally down the line. But there are some other ways around which we are planning out. This is not only we are talking about all the broking industry, which is coming out with this margin funding kind of stuff where they can borrow the fund at a nominal rates, and then they can give it to the clients where they can utilize that as a margin. So these are the things which are happening. So currently it's not clear how it will affect and what will be the outcome of it. So we have to wait, and we need to just check out on the intraday side what would happen. So I think we need to give some time to that so that we'll have the clarity on it.
So is it be beneficial towards the economic growth perspective, or it is like vanishing and participation of the retail participant into stock markets?
See, every new norm is something which is going to affect the markets. Every new norm. See, over a longer period of time, I think this will be a best thing which SEBI is going to come out. See, normally what would happen when the crash happens, when you're over leveraged, people would occur more losses. So now, see, when you are not leveraged, and if you know the market, see, normally what would happen, a layman who's coming and doesn't know anything and he takes leverage, obviously he'll lose entire capital. So I think that is where SEBI is thinking about, okay, the people who are unaware, they need to know what exactly the margin works, how it will work. I think longer run, it's good for the economy, because obviously the people who are going to invest or maybe trading. See, trading is something different. We are talking about market capitalization growing is completely different. So market as a whole doesn't affect on that particular stuff. Okay, trading revenue might slash, but obviously the market opportunity will be there. So when you talk about market capitalization growing, obviously you're talking about revenue growth, you're talking about company growth and all, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I think Sainath had a question or suggestion. Sainath, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
My question is like, where do you see the Nifty or Sensex heading in next couple of years?
See, we are seeing normally everyone is talking about 1 lakh Sensex and all. See, down the line, there is a huge growth which is there in when you talk about an index. See, we are looking at on the higher side. Okay, the first target what we are looking at is 50,000. The Sensex, which might happen in next couple of years. So that is what we are looking at. That's the first target from Jiva Trust. And later on, obviously, there is a huge opportunity in India. People are looking at India as an emerging market. So obviously, we are going to take a major share in that. So I think there is a huge growth which is left out.
Okay. Actually, next question is from Archit. So he's asked this question: what will be the impact of T+1 settlement of trade, which SEBI is planning to do on foreign inflows?
See, altogether, you talk about FDIs and all, it's completely different. See, there are so many things which they have to see. They can't come and they can't go out. Okay, they just can't fool us as Indians. Obviously, they come out, they come in and they can't go out. So there are so many norms. Not only T+1, there are so many other norms which will bind them. Okay, they should be staying invested in India. So I think that's not going to affect anything.
Okay. Any other questions that we can answer? Okay. So yeah, I think we're good here. So yeah, it was an incredible session, guys. Seriously, this was a great platform where even everyone for that matter could learn a lot. So we're going to be doing a lot more webinars, a lot more discussions on all these things. Something that everybody see today. Investments is a part of is not just only for the elite; it's for everybody, right? So you should be aware of all these investment platforms. You should have some good knowledge on this. So I think Zivastras on that hand have taken a forefront, and they have made sure that they are at the peak in their career in terms of all of these aspects, all of these investment products. So we'll make sure to kind of share this knowledge as much as possible, and
Ashwini, one
use it.
more thing. One more
Yes.
thing. Just wanted to add on that last question, right?
Yeah.
See, FPI, it's a proposal. It's not yet been decided. So there's a lot of opposition which has happened. So I think we need to wait and watch, and then I think we can get a clarity on how it will be impacted on our market.
Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Great. So in case if you have additionally any few questions, you can reach out to us. You have you have the website www.zivastars.com, and please reach out to us on our social media channels. We are completely full on responsive on that. Follow us on all of these platforms, and we'll make sure this video is updated as soon as possible on YouTube, and of course all the other platforms as well. So yeah, it was a great session with you all guys, and hope to see you guys sometime very very soon. Thank you, Aftab sir, and thank
Thank
you,
you.
Andal.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye bye, guys.